Ayubowan. Welcome to Sri Lanka, the small wonder. The civilization of Sri Lanka is more than 2600 years old, and its recorded history goes back to around 2nd century BC. In the past, this island was called in different names such as Sinhalese, Sihaladiva, Serendip, Thambapani and Taprabay. The Aryan settlements was established in 5th or 6th centuries BC in the north-central province, as per the chronicle reports. Earlier settlers were Sinhalese, who are descendants from a warrior prince Vijaya, who was sent away from India, who establishes an independent kingdom in Anuradhapura. Buddhism was introduced to Sri Lanka by missionaries Mahinda, the son of great Emperor Asoka in the 1st century BC, and became the religion of the state. The city of Anuradhapura became the seat of the government. Sinhalese kingdom suffered invasion from southern India, and in 11th century AD, capital was shifted from Anuradhapura to Polonnaruwa and to Sigiriya and Kotte. Portuguese, who firstly came in trade, made a huge turning point in the country's history and started to occupy the coastal areas in 15th century. When the Dutch Admiral George Spielberg landed on the east coast in early 17th century, Candian king invited him to settle on the east coast of the island. He saw this would provide an important counterbalance to the Portuguese. With the help of Dutch, Sinhalese king able to expel the Portuguese from Ceylon in 1658. With the Napoleonic Wars and the French invasion of the Netherlands and the deposing of the Dutch king, the British set about occupying Dutch colonies around the world to prevent them falling into French hands. As a result, in 1796, the British East India Company took control of Ceylon. British quickly discovered the importance of the island strategically and financially. In 1802, Ceylon was declared as a British crown colony. Candian kingdom was not under the British rule. Many British attempts to attack Kandy failed. Finally, Browning took advantage of a crisis in Kandy, making an alliance with a few Candian nobles. In 1815, British captured Kandy and integrated with the rest of Ceylon. The British also introduced a new flag for Ceylon. It had a blue field with the Union flag in the corner, as with the other British colonies, and the design showing an elephant in front of the stupa to represent Ceylon. British moves in Ceylon as with the Dutch, where the increased revenue and more plantations were increased, many owned by British companies. They brought cheap Tamil labor force from South India, making a substantial Tamil population by the end of 19th century. When coffee plantations collapsed in 1869 and the tea was expanded from the late 1870s, with the tea bushes being grown on slopes of the hill country and was a great success, Ceylon tea became well known throughout the British Empire. Rubber and coconut plantations were also developed but never rivaled the tea industry. More of the infrastructure of colonial Ceylon was built by the British in the later half of 19th century. Ports, public buildings, hospitals, roads and railway, schools and reliable postal and telegraphy systems. However, British rule was too harsh and unreasonable on the locals. Hence, in the beginning of 19th century, there were too many public unrests and British could not handle the uprising. Finally, British decided to give dominion status to Ceylon. His Royal Highness of Duke of Gloucester and the Duchess of Gloucester represent the British monarch at the independence of Ceylon. Duke of Gloucester read the King's address at the opening of the Ceylon Dominion Parliament. February 3rd midnight, as the clock hand veered into minute past, the burst of crackers heralding the approach day for Lankan's independence crashed into the silence of the night. Quoted on Ceylon Observer, February 4th, 1948. Thus began celebrations to mark Ceylon's long-awaited independence from British. At 7:30 the next morning, in a ceremony held at the Queen's House, Sir Henry Monk Mason Moore was appointed Ceylon's first Governor-General to the ringing sounds of gun salute. Later that day, Lion flag was hoisted at the ceremony at the Assembly Hall at Torrington Place, signalling Ceylon's new status as a free country. The Prime Minister of Ceylon, Desmania D.S. Senanayake, the father of the nation, declared that we are people created equal, free to think and worship as we feel. We are no longer colonists. We obtain our own identity, and our destiny would not be determined for us, but our destiny would be determined by us. On 22nd May 1972, a new country was born under the first woman Prime Minister of the world, Mrs. Sirimavo Bandaranayake, who led the country to full freedom from British Dominion status to Republic status, and Ceylon was reborn as Republic of Sri Lanka. And in 1998, Sri Lanka celebrated the 50th anniversary of independence under President Mrs. Chandrika Kumaratunga Bandaranayake, first female executive president of Sri Lanka.
जनाधिपति सम्मान उत्तमाचार अवाब
50 years ago today, we stepped forth into the dawn of freedom with the hope and vigor of a nation reborn. The diverse communities inhabiting this land expressly desired to forge a free nation, where the richness of diversity would be respected and preserved within a united Lanka. We have failed to realize the dreams of our freedom fighters, to build a strong and united nation. The silent majority watched in horror whilst a great nation with an ancient civilization, steeped in one of the finest cultural and architectural heritages of the world, terrifying era, nurtured in the traditions political of the noble Buddhist philosophy of peace. The people have now awakened to the call of peace into a terrible amity.
And in 2010, after the defeat of 30-year civil war against LTTE, we celebrated the 62nd independence under the President Mahinda Rajapaksa. in 2022, we celebrated the 74th independence ceremony under President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the 7th executive president of Sri Lanka. Come to an emotionally charged lounge experience. We are Sri Lanka, small wonder, the wondrous tourist paradise in Asia. If you like to know more about Sri Lanka, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.